Welcome back to Cool Times Podcast. We talk all things cool about the cold storage construction industry. To my right, the lovely Miss Jenna Free. I am Vince Free. We are your hosts of Cool Times Podcast. We have an awesome guest today, Jeremy Bentley, Director of Architecture at what is now Power Construction, Cold and Food Group.
Yep.
You used to be formerly with United Insulated Structures, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
For a long time.
Awesome. We're going to get into all that,
Yes.
the history of that. Dude, welcome to the show. Jeremy, we're pumped to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here. I think what you two are doing in our industry is amazing. I've watched the podcast, so really excited to be on here. Hope I can, bring some humor and insight and, let everybody know what the architecture field is like in this industry.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
We historically have not interviewed a lot of architects.
No.
And then we just had Michael Cody on, right, at Where Malcolm this year, which was it this year?
It was this year.
Wow, time flies. Yeah. So having architects on the podcast is very important. I think we are in a very critical stage of cold storage design right now, with changes in how people are drawing thermal details. And there's a million ways to, skin a cat. But at the end of the day, with architecture right now being a big spotlight with all these new details, man, this is timing couldn't be better to have you on the show.
Hey, without us, the buildings can't get built. Somebody's got to stamp it
correct.
and take liability, right?
Yeah.
And
So
like you said, the industry has changed a ton with refrigeration, and buildings are getting taller and more automated, and it's just and it starts with us doing the research and making sure the drawings get done correctly.
for sure. Well, tell us a little bit about your history of, we're at United Insulated. Tell us that history and then basically how y'all became Power.
I don't know, how far back can I go?
As far as you want. You can go as far as back as
I
Larry
was-
Lantero and Rich Malesh and all those guys.
Well, I was going to go when I was 3. My grandma
Yeah,
bought
I
me
like it.
some Lincoln logs.
There you go. You can say whatever you want, man.
No, but architecture's been kind of a part of me, I think, before I knew that it was a part of me. When I was younger, I only excelled at math and art, which are kind of two opposite things. But if I were to put that in like a 1950s computer, this is what you should be when you grow up, I think architect would have came up. And even like right now, my Myers-Briggs personality is like, the only difference between me and what they call an architect is I'm a little more extroverted than what they think an architect is, stereotypically at least.
Yep.
But I started architecture in high school, took my first engineering drafting class like my sophomore year. And first thing they do is teach you, how to rewrite the alphabet, never use a lowercase again, haven't used a lowercase since. And then I went into doing, independent study my senior year, and we got to actually make our own projects. And me and a close buddy, his dad owned a house down there in Springfield, where I'm from. That was a house that Abraham Lincoln stayed in, like while all this stuff was getting shipped from the Pullman trains out to DC. And there's a community college nearby. So instead of just like designing a ranch house or something that everybody else is doing, we like did a renovation of this house to turn it into an apartment building for this local college for his dad. And
Oh, cool.
it's just always, looking for a challenge. And then so I went to UIC for college. It was one of the few colleges that had cross country and track and architecture. Not a lot of schools have architecture programs, and I was, track runners trying to use that to help, pay for school and stuff.
Sure.
Yes.
So went there. I think I did well, in all my architecture classes, and maybe not so well on some of the ones I cared less about, but did a little running. A little bit more about me and how I got into the design build was, in high school I'm studying, but I'm also, in the summers, working as a carpentry for friends on residential houses. And
Okay.
when I was in college, instead of interning for, a big architecture firm or something in the city of Chicago, I was working for another mentor of mine who was doing, spec houses and spec apartment buildings in the city. And I was working as a laborer and a carpenter. So I was like, I want to get to construction. I don't want to just, draw toilet elevations for an architect over the summer. I want to get in there and see how things are built. So I've always been interested in that side of the world. Out of school, first job was with a developer that was doing high-rise condos. And this is right before the housing break. So the timing was good for me to go over to UIS. And, part of my origin story into this industry was actually, Gary O'Donnell, who was a former UIS partner, actually briefly, left there and came to this company, and he was working as a superintendent. And so, this was a developer who had in-house construction, in-house architects. They did kind of everything. And we were building an 18-story high-rise building near Wrigley Field. Like you could actually see it from the cameras, behind the batter.
Yeah.
And, I went from architect drawing a lot of the details to expediting the permit to one day I was doing an architecture review out at the site. And Gary was like the only superintendent. They were keeping everything really, really slim. And before I even got out there, I remember I saw, the people who were framing like that first level of podium for the garage. They were building the beam wrong. Now I had inside, intelligence because I was a part of the drawings and the revision that the structural engineer made. So, I kind of knew everything, but I noticed it from across the street. I went over there and I'm like, hey guys, you guys are building this wrong. And they're like, who the heck are you?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Who's this kid? I'm like 22 years old.
Yeah, who's this kid?
But I went over there, found Gary, brought the drawings over, and sure enough, here's the latest drawings. They're building it wrong. Okay, guys, let's change it before, you pour concrete. And then so Gary says, Jeremy can't leave the job site. So then here I am. I took, the old desktop computer, take it to the job site trailer. I'm still being kind of half architect, half now superintendent assistant, the trades and the masonry and things like that with him. And then, one Saturday, I was just out there. Not a lot was going on. So I believe I was like building a terrarium or something for my turtles that I've had since I was like 8 years old. And Frank Maratia from UIC had talked to Gary, and he showed up to the site to just kind of see the building. And he's like, oh, can you give me the tour? I give him the tour. We go down. He's like, oh, what's up with these drawings? He's looking at the drawings and asking me questions. I'm like, yeah, I drew these details and that. And what I didn't know is that he was interviewing me because I was young and dumb. And
surprise.
Yeah, he's good at that.
I realize it.
He was good at that.
Because about 2 days later, I get a call back from him, and hey, can you come in and do a formal interview with us? We like what you guys are doing, and it worked out. They offered me about twice as much as I was making with that developer, so I couldn't say no. And that's how I got into this industry.
Sky's the limit.
Wow.
Working with them for almost 19 years now.
Yeah. So cold storage is obviously much different than building the high rise. So how did you engulf and embrace and learn cold? Like, who taught you cold?
A little bit of everybody. My predecessor here, Dan Tyler, who was the architect and structural engineer for United Insulated, did it for 30 years, taught me everything. He came from a family of teachers. So he was a very good teacher, taught me a lot about drawings and details and cold. But at the same time, just like how I had at my first job when I came here, I was kind of flip-flopping between project management, superintendent, and architecture as the needs were filled in. So I was out at the site and I'm learning things from the carpenters doing the thermal envelope. I'm learning stuff from the superintendents. I learned stuff from everything. And, I always say a good architect is someone who knows their resources. So if I got a question, I ask all these different people. I would never go to another architect and ask about a really detailed on how to put a door into an IMP wall or a base detail. I'm always going to call up our foreman that's been doing it for 30 years. They know what's going on.
So you've been in cold for a while. When we move to what we're seeing now, these changes that we're seeing, these larger, taller buildings, what were your first initial thoughts? Because I feel like that's a newer thing for our industry in these last few years. And I imagine with you being in the industry as long as you have, like, there had to have been some big concerns.
It kind of creeped, but then kind of happened at the same time, as well. We had, big 3PL clients that would kind of ask for this, and they were kind of dabbling into whether this made sense or not. And they would ask us, okay, draw a floor plan and some elevations for a conventional freezer. This is back when they were like 40-foot clear. And draw me a building that's 100-foot tall and could be an ASRS and a smaller footprint to get the same amount of pallets. And we would do that several times. And then at the end of the day, they'd come back and say, nah, it's just not penciling out for us. Let's go build a conventional freezer. Now, as you're saying, that's kind of changing.
Yeah.
And I think it is, penciling out. And, there's people who know the market and thing better than I do, but I assume it's, labor costs are up, energy costs are up, and, it's making it work out a little better. And talking to some of the clients, I think they were being really conservative on, how they were calculating this new huge risk that they were taking on, because there's a lot of capital you got to put in to do some of these automation projects. And now that they look back on it, they're saying, the energy savings for this is just, we didn't even think it was going to be this good. And, things are going great. So you're seeing more and more of it. So, and then when it did kind of pop, it's like, oh, this isn't, kind of almost wake up out of a dream. I mean, I was doing ammonia stick-built refrigeration systems over and over again. I'm doing the same building over and over again. I've got, the owners at UIS, wanting the same stripes on the building. I don't even know which building I'm drawing when I show up sometimes, oh, this is different. This is interesting. I think it's great. It gives us a challenge and something to work at and make better.
For sure. I can promise you that I've crossed paths with him and without knowing it in my career. Because I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I sold in ASI Enviro doors to Gary O'Donnell and Hal Weiss and Rich Malechka and all those guys there. I mean, I was probably pounding on your door trying to get my door specified in your plans. And you probably didn't even know it.
Probably. I usually ignore a lot of the vendors. I mean, when you're working in a place like that, I could spec whatever door you want me to, but they're going to go ahead and price it out and buy whatever they want.
Exactly. Man, the history there, United Insulated Structures, I mean, they are a powerhouse in the Midwest. And I mean, I know you guys traveled outside of the United States and done a lot of work with Cook Foods. I'm pronouncing that right?
Yep.
I think you guys did and still are a ton of work for US Cold. And I mean, you guys do phenomenal buildings. And then Power Construction jumps in. I mean, this acquisition made huge news in the industry.
It did.
And when did that happen? You want to talk a little bit about that acquisition?
Yeah, so it was kind of like in the heart of, the COVID epidemic. It was 2020. It's kind of when they released it. Obviously, there was a lot of things going on in the background before that. The previous owners, they're getting about to the retirement age, didn't quite have a succession plan. So we're putting feelers out there to, let's just sell the company. I mean, it was a good company and had a good reputation. So it has value, right? And instead of, selling it to somebody who didn't know what they're doing, or maybe some of the younger, owners, they either couldn't afford it or didn't want to, or both of those things. And so Power came and they were looking to diversify their portfolio. I mean, they're like they were a one city, general contractor, huge builder in the Chicagoland area. And we're looking to diversify not just the markets, but really what they like to see at UIS was, that we traveled and what we could teach them to do that. And so, right around that time, I actually found out while I was on the Oregon Trail, rented a RV and had the family doing the Oregon Trail.
That's so cool.
They all, showed up. I got a call from Larry Lantero and he's like, "Hey, I wanted you to hear this from me. We're all kind of celebrating over here." But, we sold the company.
Okay.
And since then, it was a little scary, for someone like me who's worked with smaller businesses. The first place I was at probably had 15 people. UIS is historically around 50 people, not including, some of the union guys. And to go to a company that was like 500 people was like, whoa, like, what is this going to be about? But I got to say, the transition has been great. It has taken some time, to get there. But I would say, 5 years now where it's happened, obviously we just recently changed the name and the branding to Power Cold and Food Group. But, we kind of always been there since the beginning. And I would say,
love the logo, by the way.
Yeah.
Love the name, the logo. I mean, they all did good with that.
I mean, that was one of my first things when we came. He's like, we got to switch to Power right away. I mean, the blue color is much more indicative to cold and ice and stuff than the old UIS red colors, which just looks like fire.
The opposite of what we want is heat.
It's thermal. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been great. And, as we've kind of merged a little better, as the architect and the design team on our side, which is something very new to Power, I've been dabbling with other groups with doing some design build things with their aviation group and with their VIP group, which has had opportunities that are similar to the same markets that we're in.
Culture wise, I mean, y'all had a different culture than I'm assuming Power, right? All companies are different. How did that culture, I guess, blend together?
Yeah, so there were some culture differences, but there's also some big culture similarities. Do what's right, client relationships and relationships matter. That was really big with UIS. I mean, we do anything for a client, and Power seems they're the same way, right? They're a 59-year, or UIS was a 59-year, company, and Power's, almost at 100 years.
Wow.
And we've all got, repeat clients, 80, 90% of our clients are repeat, both with the old UIS and, with Power. So we're here to, build relationships and partnerships with clients.
Heck yeah.
Keeps it going, right?
Got to. This is where
I actually really just want to know more about this Oregon Trail experience. I can't stop thinking about it.
I have access to big plotters and everything. So I plotted the huge old map of Oregon Trail.
Okay.
I taped it up to the back front of the RV. We had our bird dog with us, riding shotgun with me. And we would stop at all the stops that were on that game and part of the Oregon Trail. And I would post something on Facebook, with a picture of my daughter. We'd stop at Walmart or something there, and she'd get a big bag of cherries, and I'd say, Ember went foraging and found berries for us. And
I love it so much.
Wow.
It was a really fun trip.
Oh my gosh. So how long did it take you?
So it took probably a week to get to Oregon, because we did stop a few times. Like we stopped in Yellowstone and Jackson for a few days to kind of, go play over there and camp. And then we kind of ended up, working our way to Bend. On the way back was much faster, though. I think, my wife was ready to get home. And so we kind of like took turns and drove 24 hours back. Home. Like, we got to get out of here. I'm done with this RV.
Yeah.
Dude, RVs are awesome. I always wanted to get an RV and just drive the coast. I don't know why.
It'd be fun.
I don't know. Fun.
It would be
Do
fun.
it.
Well, that's a really unique family experience. I love that. And I love how you documented it too. Foraging.
I'm interested. I mean, Jeremy,
back to cold storage.
Let's go back to cold storage for let's bring it all in here, guys. All right. This is getting crazy. All right. We'll talk about surviving the Oregon Trail later. You survived my questions I pumped you with at the last Icon show on stage.
I did. That was awesome. I still tell people about that. Even people were telling me today, like, what's he going to ask? I'm like, based on the last experiment,
experiment. I
definitely
so
not the list of questions
curveballs
you sent me.
Yeah, no, I know, right? So that was funny. So those that don't know, Jeremy was on a what do we call it? A panel. Sorry, blanking here. I guess I need more coffee. You were on a panel. You and Gary O'Donnell, Mike Jones, and who was the fourth? Why am I blanking?
Was there a fourth?
There was a fourth. Who was our fourth?
I think you're the fourth. I don't think there was anybody else on the panel.
I was the one asking the questions.
True, but I think it was just us four up there.
Was it? Okay. Well, if whatever fourth we're missing, I apologize.
Right, going back.
I kind of like when I get on stage, I kind of just black out anyways, so I don't like the whole memory of that is foggy. But I do remember having a bunch of really good questions for you guys, and I sent them out to you, and we get on stage. And I asked.
It's just the three of you.
It was just the three of us. It was. See, we didn't hurt anyone's feelings. It was just us three. It was cool because, dude, I threw all these random questions that none of you guys were prepared for, but y'all killed it. And I mean, we're talking spec buildings. We're talking a tilt up dry building, and a guy wants to move in 300,000 square feet of just freezer and cooler box and box. And what's that going to take to change and convert that building over, and the challenges with that. And you guys crush that. I think that is either all recorded or on tape somewhere, but I mean, that's for a later date. But are you going to Icon again this year?
Yep.
Awesome. What trade shows are we going to see you at, or conferences, association?
GCCA, the Icon,
okay,
and then SIBO.
The big three, baby.
The big three.
Yep.
Love it. We will see you there as well. So acquisition is something that's really big right now in our industry, right? So I always find it interesting when these happen because they either go really, really well or really, really bad. I've never seen kind of like, it's just all good. You know what I mean? So Power is a awesome company, and they buy an awesome company, and those cultures come together. You guys finally moved out of your office and moved in with them.
Yep.
Was there a lot of upper management at Power that came in and said, hey, we want to run the cold storage division like this, or y'all are the experts, you teach us? And I mean, how did all that work? I mean, has it been pretty seamless?
Yeah. So there's still a lot of things that we do as a group that is different than how, we call it Big Power does things. And a lot of that has to do with the design build aspect, which is something they just didn't have in-house. We try to keep things similar. And I do, being one of the longest people who's been here at UIC that, is over here, I did, find myself often, feeling like I'm, educating everybody on how we do things.
I love that. You need that.
Because things were different, I mean, I would say, in general, UIS is still, the same company as Power, Cold, and Food. A lot of the same people came over. It's not like we moved and then a bunch of people dropped off. They didn't want to go to the new office or something like that. It was only 15, 20 minutes down the road, closer to O'Hare, which is great for
That's nice.
us who like to travel.
Fair.
But it's not that much different of a company, but, design build was very different. So as some of the, Power project managers and things come over, I'd have to educate them on, how we do things a little differently, a lot more fast track, a lot more, collaboration between the two of us, and, the way we do submittals and stuff like that. Like, they're so used to just giving everything to the architect, and he gives it to the electrical engineer and the mechanical engineer, and he's kind of like the point person. And I'm like, I just give it straight to them, and I don't want to see anything that's unimportant to me. You guys can handle it in the field, and all those kind of things that
the field.
Well, and
UIS was known for.
Known for handling it in the field. Where did you see the breakdown then between design and execution in the field? Like, was there a breakdown? How did you bridge that gap? Because I imagine with you spending that time in the field as a laborer, learning, how to execute, was there a gap between our design and the execution?
I mean, there always is. I mean, even go back to the story of how I got in here with them building the beam wrong over the garage door.
Yeah.
I mean, it still keeps me up at night. Is what I'm doing right now on my computer going to make it to the guy in the field building it in time? So that's always been there. I think it's been great here because, they can always just call me up and everything. They don't have to go through a big RFI process or anything like that. And as I was in the field, so for an example, I was a superintendent through like the 80% from ground up to about, when they started installing doors and things for an addition for a company near Chicago. And, I was documenting everything, like how when the IMP crew came, like how they did the detail on the bottom, how they did it at the roof, and had all these pictures. And I came back to the office and, gathered all the other designers around, and I'm going, guys, do you realize how wrong our details are? Or like, you don't even put the vapor barrier underneath the track. We're just showing it there. And, all the guys in the field just kind of knew how to do this. So, me and my personality is, always trying to make things better. I'm slowly, as we go on, making the details better. And then that was definitely a jump when Power acquired us. You've got people who are used to, they don't see a drawing until it's a permit set of drawings and it's really polished, and you got to have everything, or the architect gets pointed at and to blame for change orders and things like that. And, with us working together, it's a different atmosphere with design build. So, you know, there was a give and take. There was like, I don't want every submittal, but also our drawings had to get better in order for them to not just, make a better set of drawings and everything, but to educate them on how we do things, really to show them on a drawing before you even get out to the field. So I think that's been one of the greatest parts of the acquisition as far as my department is concerned and the drawings. I mean, our drawings have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Spent a ton of time just hammering out details. They have a whole dedicated quality team that really like they're good. They're building science guys. They're grilling me. Why are you doing this and why are you doing that? And I'm like, okay, well, that's a good idea. Maybe this costs too much, but we're working together. And I think at this point, hands down, I would argue with anybody that we got the best drawings in the industry, and that had a lot to do with it.
I love that. Until you see our shop drawings, bro. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. That's a big concern for us as PMs too. Like we have details, you're drawing details. My anxiety comes into play of like, okay, is this gonna get like transferred to the field correctly? Or if there's a change, that's probably my biggest pet peeve is when there's changes in architectural drawings. How are those announced, released, and how do you ping the correct sub or contractor that has the changes? Like, how do you know what I mean? So like, I still don't think there's a good process for that. I haven't seen one yet. And maybe it's out there, but if there's a change and like door location changes happen all the time, Jeremy, right?
Yep.
You shift doors, you slide doors, and you're on revision 3 and then revision 4. These doors have changed. And let's just say that you change the door locations. How do you get your IMP guys that information in a timely manner where they actually know, okay, we need to be using revision 4? How does a foreman or super out there know that,
Yeah, that's tough. And sometimes, depending on who's doing the drafting, moving a door a little bit seems like an insignificant change. So they might not say anything right away, right? Or not really know where they're at in the construction process. Luckily, one of the things that Power does as a company is have weekly internal meetings where now, us architects get to be a part of, and we can bring up those kind of things. That's, as I'm doing those things during the week, I'll go into the meeting agenda, put those line items on there and say, hey, I want to talk about that. And not just the project manager, but the superintendent is on this call. And so that applies a direct link once a week with me and the superintendent. Sometimes it's looking out into the future. Like as I'm drawing something, I might get to the point I'm like, I still don't like this detail. There's still something about this that needs to get worked on. And I'll kind of warn them about that. Like, hey, look out. Like when you start getting close to this, let's start having a conversation. I want to work this out with you and how you want to build it. It shouldn't be a fire or an emergency.
Right. 100% agree.
And I do think that the technology has gotten better and made it easier. If you're using Procore or Autodesk, which is what we use, there's things, and I take liberties. Sometimes they don't like it, but I'll get on like the contract set of drawings and start sketching things up. Or if I'm out in the field, I'll take a picture and say, oh no, you got to put a soffit here and do that. And some people appreciate it. Some people don't. When we were doing a adaptive reuse high rise in the city, I was doing that, and the carpentry foreman, the subcontractor, had like a direct link to us, and we were calling and solving problems like right then and there. No RFIs, no change orders, just architect direct link to the guy doing it. And that's an example for me of like the best way to do it if you can.
Yeah. One of my, I got a story because I think we learn as a community in cold storage where like all of our podcasts and all of our relationships and friends through everyone in this industry, we talk a lot about like, we're truly a family, right? Like, Jeremy, you and I have gotten a lot closer over the years and all these conferences and shows. And like, honestly, we want to help each other, right? You and I may never do business together, and that's okay. If you call me for something, I'm going to help you. You know what I mean? And I can call you, Jeremy, and say, hey, have you ever seen this detail? And you're probably going to help me. Like that's just who we are. So I think living stories is our learning experiences, because we had a job one time where the architect changed the riser room doors that face the cold dock, and they moved the doors from like one revision drawing to the side of the riser rooms. So the doors wouldn't face the, I guess, the cross dock to the dock doors. So they changed the door location to the side. Email blast goes out, I think, on like Procore about new revision set. But it goes to every subcontractor, and it goes to the project manager that like runs that job. And I think the drawings went out on like Monday or Tuesday, but in the field, we're literally building those riser rooms and had already like cut the doors to the front. And like there was like a day where we could have caught that, but I think, you know, and as PMs travel, they're busy. They might not open that email for 24 hours, right? I mean, we're all very busy. So it, like, dude,
Fast paced.
It's fast paced. Missed it completely, right? So
And
like,
it's tough. You get a million emails and you start learning to ignore them.
I mean, yeah, and it's tough because it's like I look at that and I'm like, okay, where could we have been better, right? Because we're not perfect. As a thermal sub, I know we always can get better, right? So we're like that gap there, that missing link from that change to communication from PM to field super to the general contractor super, like how can we all collectively have prevented that from happening, right? So like we talk about that at the end of jobs, like where did we miss, right? How did that communication gap fail? We had a 24-hour window to make that change and it wasn't communicated. So no one's pointing fingers. That's what I love about all of our partners. Like no one's pointing fingers like, you know, that's your fault that you missed it. Like it's not like that, you know, and you know, I know there's people.
It's more problem solving. Like you said, like how do we catch this next time so that, you know, everything moves more seamlessly.
And I think this story is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners because I mean, we do get a lot of, you know, general contractors that listen to the show, and we thank you all for listening, by the way.
Of course.
We appreciate you guys.
This episode is brought to you by Jamison Door Company.
Discover the legacy of Jamison Door Company, pioneers in the door industry since 1906.
With a commitment to innovation and quality, Jamison doors are engineered to perform and built to last, meeting the highest standards for temperature control and durability. Ideal for commercial and industrial applications, Jamison provides customized solutions that ensure operational efficiency and energy savings.
Trust in the strength and reliability of a Jamison door to safeguard your products and streamline your workflow.
Choose Jamison, where every door opens a world of possibilities.
This episode is brought to you by VersaFoam.
VersaFoam is your trusted solution for high-performance spray foam in cold storage construction.
Easy to apply, built to perform in the harshest environments, and energy efficient.
VersaFoam. Spray it, don't pay it.
Without all of you guys, we don't exist as a podcast, but this helps bring telling stories about things that happen in the field. It helps. So I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Jeremy. Have you gone through something similar to that in your career with cold storage that you would love to share?
I can't think of a specific example, but this happens all the time.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, being someone who's been in the field as well and knowing how tough that is and how there's a process to get that information down to them, I would definitely first say, you know, I don't think it's your fault, you know, the guy cutting the hole in it.
Yeah.
It's his fault. He's just following what he was doing yesterday and he's going to keep going until someone says, hey, you got the wrong drawings. So from me, you know, I always tell me or someone on my team, you know, you got to call up the superintendent right now or the project engineer that's working on that job. And, you know, they need to walk over there and go stop them, have a conversation with them. Yeah. And that happens all the time with the way we work. And that's how I operate. You know, we're almost like a service, you know, to the field. I've always said that, you know, when the field calls or when it's a field issue, you know, stop what you're doing. You can design pretty canopies later. Let's make sure that the building gets built right, because I got a great eraser and I can move a wall or a door really easily on my program, I mean, in seconds. But, you know, once you guys build something or once concrete is poured, you know, the concrete is poured. So you got to get it right the first time. And the sooner you can make a change and find those mistakes, the better.
How often, like as an architect who's designing a project, how often do you, in your point of view, is it important for the architect to visit the job site? Because like you said, you caught that one when you went, out and saw that they were, setting that up wrong. So I guess I'm wondering from an architectural perspective, how often is it important for on the job moments?
I think it's very important, but it's been something that's difficult to implement, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we're a
is.
national contractor. We're doing stuff all over the place.
Yes.
When I do my timesheets, I've got 25 jobs that are in all kinds of different phases of construction to maybe we'll get this job.
Yeah.
And it's tough to get out there
It
and
is.
see it. One of the things we have increased is getting people out there and getting their eyes on there. It makes you a better architect, but then also, seeing things that other people don't see or seeing what could be an issue in the future. I think that's something that architects are good at. And I think it's really important to get out there at certain phases and do it. Like for us, the structural engineer, out when they're laying out, the columns, because once those are there, there's not much changing. For my team and the designers and architects that work with us, it's getting out there when the panels are going up to really see those details and how that gets put together. And the problem, I mean, one example, we were doing a project and they were stacking a panel that now the next phase is taller than the first phase, right? So they're stacking a panel on an existing building, right? So this building's established, the ground settled. They got steel up on this other side that's been up for, a month. And now they're putting panels on top of this. And, I thought my detail was just awesome. And it was improved from the last time we did it. And I'm connecting it, the structure, on the bottom. And then I'm connecting the existing structure. And then I get out there and they go, hey, this building hasn't been built yet. And it's, in the morning it gets kind of cold. And at night the sun's hitting this. And in the morning, the structure's ripping apart the existing building. And then at night when it cools down, it's ripping apart the other one. And all we did was, we unscrewed this one screw and then that fixed it. And I'm like, oh God, thank you. And thanks for not throwing me under the bus. But, and now our details get better.
Dude, that reminds me of a job we did in Arizona. Yeah. So we're building a food service and distribution center in Arizona, and we're installing a 6-inch IMP down a double column line. And the steel columns are 7 inches apart. Okay. So we got about an inch to like slide these panels, skateboard these panels down the double column line. And I kid you not, by 10 a.m., 9:30 a.m. in Phoenix, these columns were 5 inches apart. And you couldn't get a panel in there at all because the way the sun was hitting it. And like it was so hot. So we had to flip the entire schedule of our crew, buy spotlights, rent spotlights. Dude, we were installing panels from like 10 p.m. To 6 in the morning.
Yep.
We had to change our shift. That's the only time to get panels down the double column line.
And that's normal for concrete and roofs out there, but I couldn't imagine that being an issue.
Yeah, it was wild. And obviously, like, a lot of in some cases you'll do column ties when the panels are in, you do column ties, right? Those couldn't go in, obviously, because we got to slide the panels in, right? Those go in after we cut the holes and they tie them up. But yeah, dude, it was wild. I've seen some crazy stuff, dude.
Sure, we all have.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to ask you so you've been basically an architect, I'm just going to say your whole life, because sounds like you have been, from the building blocks and Legos to where you are now. Like from
Lincoln Logs.
From a GC and architectural like hybrid perspective, what's one mistake you see a developer or designer make over and over again when entering a cold storage space?
So I'll start with some designers that are entering the cold space. I've really seen some, horror stories recently with people because, you got builders who've done dry boxes, designers and, construction GCs, and, our buildings look boring and simple maybe sometimes compared to them, but the details aren't. One specific, they had already, hired an architect. They had got it to a permit construction set of drawings before they ever kind of took it to, a GC. They sent it to us, and this was like a Butler style building that did have multi levels, but it didn't have any double comm line between like the dock and the structure. So it had those big, variable with beams and stuff just breaking through it. And it had an IMP roof on it, and the details had no thermal vapor barrier on them. And, I looked at this and I just tore it apart. And I'm like, we can't do it this way. And I'd love to help you, let us redesign this for you. And you want a double comm here, and you probably want to do structural steel. Yes, it costs a little more, but was also questioning if, they figured the loads for the refrigeration yet on that pre-engineered building, because those things get engineered to like the very minimal that you can, and they leave no room for anything else,
right?
And then we went through like, do you want to have a freezer roof, or do you want to do a ceiling, something to try to make it work for them? And they didn't really want to listen to us, so we had to eventually say no. I wish you the best. I feel really bad. I want to help them. I think if they actually build this building, it's going to be, a disaster. But, so when you're jumping into this, you should be talking to consultants. And, if you're going to build this as an owner, if you don't have, architect that's got a ton of experience, and there are a bunch of them out there that do, or if you don't have a GC or a thermal contractor, or one of those has to
certification.
Exactly. I think that's 100%. That's a great role for someone who has that SEBA Pro, is to be a consultant as people want to enter this industry, so that they can, review drawings, look at what the contractor's doing, and how we build it, and how we time and schedule things. And then, the thermal contractor, and making sure that they're experienced and, know what they're doing. That would be awesome. But that's something I've seen, developers, as they've jumped in. I know, spec buildings have kind of come, and I feel to some extent they're kind of sliding down, and they're trying to find ways of doing build to suits and not spec. We did several spec buildings, and it's tough finding the flexibility. Our buildings aren't flexible. If you go around the country, each one is kind of different. Each company kind of does things a little differently, and it's tough. We did one where we had all these double comm lines, but we didn't actually build the walls yet, because they didn't know how they wanted to, divide the larger space. And we'd put a ribbon panel up, along the sides and on the roof, so that they could come in. And then I would start to get these, RFQs and things from the developer, from potential tenants, and they're saying, okay, well, I want, 80,000 square feet, and these work out to 100,000 square feet. So now I got to put one next to a comm line. It's not a double comm line. How you do that? You might as well do that in a box. And so why did you spend all this money doing that? And freezer floors and walls and things. So it's tough.
Sure.
Get in there. So if a developer, I think that's been kind of the issue with the developer. Obviously they want to come in and, ideally, you want to start the building and then get someone in and modify it. And we've done that, and that's worked out, and it's been very successful. It's like, you start it, you can get this size building on this site. Does this work for you? Great. You want a bigger office or something? Yeah, we could do it. We haven't built it yet. Those are where it's really successful.
Awesome. That's important.
Well, and I think too, you were talking about, like, I think that's why the trade shows are so important. Like, if you're coming into this industry, like you guys were talking about earlier, you said, like, we generally want to help each other. So if people are coming into this industry, that's a great place to like go to start learning, right? To find the consultants, to find the SEBA pros, to find the people who have the experience of doing this, who've overcome some of the challenges to doing it the right way, and maybe the not so right way.
Oh, that's great about the culture of our industry.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You're saying, I mean, I might have to tap you into one of these details that you were talking about earlier. With your great, shop drawings. We do panel work for other people sometimes, and vice versa, right? So we're a union contractor, so we will, hire out, people like, Freeze and your business to do panel work for us. And if someone's going to, go and build a building in the, middle of Chicago, which is a heavy union market, then, we've helped out competitors do that. And I've seen some weird details of, tying the columns and things together from the dock to the freezer, and, something we've never done. So, people were asking me, well, what's the best way to do this? It's like, well, I'd start with not doing it, but I think now you'd have to add a bunch of X bracing and things. So maybe we're stuck on this. So let's find the best way to do this. And I was told by, Mr. Gary O'Donnell that you've got a great detail for that.
I'm not sharing it with anyone.
Maybe we do. Maybe we don't.
I got your back. offline, brother. I got your back. No, I mean, let's talk power construction and what makes them unique, and why should a cold storage warehouse or food service process client, why should they buy from Power Construction?
Not knowing too much about other companies, I can only speak about our company. And I think it is a great company, and relationships matter. They have values and we live by our values, doing the right thing always. No matter, if that's affects our bottom line negatively, we're going to do and fight for what's right for the project and what's right for the owner. We do. One of the things that they brought to UIS, and now Power Cold and Food, was all these resources of a big company. So we're still a small company feel, still the same people, but we've got, people are dedicated to safety. Our safety EMR is 0.48, which is just unheard of. Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We've got a VDC group, which is virtual design and construction. They've allowed me to have all kinds of tools now. I'm doing virtual reality tool walkthroughs with owners, like before the buildings go up. And, even did one, with Gary, where I had to move the wall like 3 inches for a conference room because he's in there and you're filling the space. Like, I don't like this. But you can also see the finishes kind of together before, it's out in the field. It's been great doing that. And we've been doing AR out in the field, which is augmented reality. We've got an extensive food production plant where sometimes when you go out into these rural places, it's a lot different than what, Power's used to in the city of Chicago, where all the contractors are really into the BIM technology and doing clash detection and things like that. But sometimes you get in these places and they're like, they haven't gotten there yet. Right. So we'll try to do some collaboration on the design side, but the design side is as good as the guy following it in the field, right? So we've, strapped our project managers and superintendents with an iPad that they can actually see the future in real life, in the building. And the owners are seeing it and we're giving them access to, and it's been great. It was great,
That's cool.
For presentation, for, some of the higher ups to say, when it was just precast, I was like, oh, here's the entryway and here's going to be your awesome logo on here, and here's all the furniture and how it's going to feel, and then the other owners in there are saying, oh, I got to put a piece of equipment here, and this pipe might be in the way, so let's move that pipe before they put it in.
That's such huge value add.
It is.
That's so cool.
It is. It really helps.
That's something that's been great.
Get what they're looking for.
Dude, that's so cool.
Hey.
So this is what Power does and brings, right? We're going to do everything that we can to, make a good project.
So if people want to find out more about Power and even the different markets that Power is working in, where would they go to get information?
Powerconstruction.net.
Okay. Powerconstruction.net.
It's our website. Yep. Do a lot of, great stuff in the Chicago market and beyond.
That's insane.
That's really cool.
Well, me from going to all these conferences, and I like a good tequila or a cocktail and conversation. So, question for you. Say your last project was a cocktail. What would it be called and what's in it? Stole that from you.
I know, that's my question.
I know. I love it.
This is a made up cocktail, or?
Yeah,
you make it up. Hurricane?
Yeah. No hurricanes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Let me think about this. Based on a project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Something smooth.
What's going on in my head is one, but it's not appetizing, I think.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
This is supposed to be fun. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, so we're doing a seafood plant for a company that's out in Boston.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, you got a Sam Adams lager with a fish stick in it and call that a cocktail.
I like
It's a
it.
terrible cocktail.
Well,
I
yeah,
much prefer a martini.
sounds, yeah. Well, I don't even know what you call that.
Sticking it.
Good.
I'm picturing it. I can picture it. It's in a tall glass. There's the
Or maybe there's some version
What if
of
that
a
combination
seafood
truly
Bloody
is really
Mary.
good and we don't even know it?
probably is. Oh gosh.
Call it the Bentley.
Ah, the Bentley.
No, I don't want to take. I don't want
I
that
don't want my name
to be.
associated.
Yeah,
You have such a badass last name, by the way,
Great
for
one.
for drawing cold storage. You got the Bentley of all drawings, man.
Mm-hmm.
too bad I don't drive one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My son, I did get him one of those, little tiny cars, and nowadays they're like remote control. So I got it
Yes.
for him when he was like 18 months old. I couldn't drive it, so I'm just like remoting him down the, you
Oh,
know,
It's
that's
so
awesome.
fun.
the street
That's
by our house in a little Bentley. So
Dude,
he was driving one.
We got our we call her our niece, but we got her a Lamborghini. And
not
it
a
was
real one. Not a real one.
so fun for me. No, the remote controlled one, of course. But I think I got it for her first birthday.
She
I don't
couldn't.
think she used it till she was 4.
I know.
Oh well,
Okay.
that's okay.
Oh yeah, I mean the first video I have of him, he's like just strapped in it, and he's just like got his head down, like half asleep, he's
Yes.
just like going around in circles in the cul-de-sac.
That's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
You're a beauty.
Oh,
Jeremy, you
gosh.
are a beauty.
I have one last question for you before I think Vince is prepping for his favorite portion. If your job had a warning label, what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, in my head right now, I'm thinking I need some kind of sign, outside my door that says when I'm in a meeting or not. I used to have these smart glasses that I put on for meetings, just especially so if people saw me, they would see the glasses and know that I'm in a meeting, but then they just started interrupting me anyways. So I need an open and close sign.
Yes.
That's fair. That's
Fair
fair.
enough.
That's fair. Well, Jeremy, dude, you're a stud. You keep crushing it in the cold storage construction world, and we look forward to seeing you at these conferences. What's your favorite cocktail at the bar?
Gin and tonics.
Y'all hear that, right?
Like
Y'all
that,
see Jeremy
so.
at the conference. Get a gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic.
Butter him up. Y'all can get in a spec.
I happen to be a fast drinker, so it allows me to have a gin and tonic and then soda water with lime, and I alternate so that
Smart.
Smart
I can
man.
make it to the end of the night.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Smart man. I love that. That's a good move.
Yeah.
Stealing it.
You should.
Stealing
You
that one.
really,
You
really
can get my double column line detail and I'll steal that. Okay. We'll just
There you go.
Yeah, we'll do that. Do you have any last comments or thoughts or anything you want to share with the audience?
No, I mean, I really appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun. I think you kind of got through a lot of the fun stories that I wanted to mention.
Good.
I think that's about it.
Oh, that's all. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, my guy. But you're not off the hook yet because this is one of my rapid rounds that I make everyone suffer through. So this for that round. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh boy, here we go. All right. Dance in the rain or sing in the shower?
Sing in the shower.
Eat a whole lemon or a whole onion?
Lemon.
Teleport anywhere or be invisible for 10 minutes?
Definitely teleport.
Yes.
I think that exists. Teleportation exists.
I'm sure it's coming. If it
It's
doesn't
getting there.
already.
One atom at a time.
Don't get me down the rabbit hole. YouTube, man. You'll get me down a rabbit hole.
We know.
Accidentally send a text to the wrong person or post an embarrassing photo online?
Post embarrassing photo online.
I like it.
It's hard to get embarrassed.
Wear socks with sandals or Crocs with formal wear?
Oh man, those are both no-nos.
Oh, no-nos. Yes.
But I think that's a trend now with the younger kids. My daughters have been doing that, and I've been telling them they got to stop. But I guess I got to do sandals with socks. I think that's
the Crocs
acceptable these days.
The Crocs are like coming back. They're comfortable.
But with formal wear,
You can decorate
You can do whatever
them.
you want, man. You're Jeremy Bentley. Do whatever you want. All right. Let's see here. Always lose your keys or always forget your phone?
my keys are my phone. I drive a Tesla, so that question that isn't applicable to
Does
me.
not apply.
Ah,
Does not apply.
Well, if you lose your phone, you lost your keys.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exactly.
Then what do you do? Huh?
Have a panic attack.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what if you drop your phone in the toilet and it's wrecked
God.
and you're at a restaurant and now you can't get home?
I do keep like a spare card. The keys are like cards in my wallet.
It's like a credit card,
you
right?
And you,
It's like
and you got to give that to like valet and stuff.
like a credit card key?
Yeah.
Oh, see, dude, you had a way out, man.
Or, everybody in my family's got access to the same way. So I guess I just have my daughter or wife or somebody drive me home.
No, drive.
There you go. Ammonia refrigeration or Freon?
Ammonia is more efficient. Freon's going to get kicked out by the government, I
Based on
think.
what? Why do you think that?
That's what they've been telling me.
For
I
years,
don't-
right?
I don't believe it until they do it, but
They've been talking about that for years. I'm not
Yeah.
buying it, man. I'm not buying it. So you think ammonia is more efficient than Freon?
I mean, it depends on the size and what you're doing, right? Like if we're doing a small scale, freezer, under 60,000 square feet, we're going to go with Freon and multiple packages on the roof.
Sure.
If this is a big plant or food production facility, I mean, I think ammonia is going to be the way to go. And obviously, both of those things kind of want to get phased out with CO2 and other types of technologies that they're coming out with these days.
I think Eric Brown is going to get in a fight with you at SEBA. I think he's gonna.
Everyone's
I think
entitled to their opinion.
I want to buy you guys both a drink. And I want
A
to
gin
watch
and
you guys
tonic.
talk about refrigeration because I love that stuff.
You should have your soda water and lime.
I'm
while
gonna
this
drink
conversation goes
soda
on.
water and lime, and eat fish sticks and
Sam Adams.
and Sam Adams. Jesus.
So if you're at the bar, if you don't see me, I'm going to order you one of those. and send it
Sam
back
Adams
home.
and fish sticks. Nice. I can't wait. That's fantastic. Are you beachside or poolside?
Beach,
Go. Okay. Ping pong or air hockey?
ping pong,
Greatest sing along song of all time. Don't Stop Believing or Friends in Low Places?
friends in low places.
Oh,
There it
good
is.
one. It's a good one.
That's a tough one. I like it. You
It's a
answered
good one.
you answered well, my guy.
My grandma was a huge Garth Brooks fan.
Yeah.
Well,
So is Vince.
hi.
So is Vince.
I love
So you answered correctly.
So him and my grandma, we'll see him
Yes.
at a concert.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Jenna took me to Garth Brooks in
They did.
Vegas, and it was like one of his last shows, right? I mean, he's saying it's his
Well, he said it was one of his last shows, but
That's super nice of you. I'm trying to get my wife to go to a Snoop Dogg concert that I got tickets to while I was late in the hot tub one night at the state fair.
When is that concert?
Snoop Dogg,
Middle of August,
I'm in. Where are we going?
the DO double G.
Springfield, Illinois. State
Enjoy.
fair.
Field, Illinois. That
Can't wait to hear about
that
this.
is in the middle of nowhere.
Not for me. It's like where every single person in my family still lives.
Yeah, for sure.
So
That's
I've
so
driven
cool.
through it.
Yeah, I watched my buddy play hockey in Springfield.
Yep.
I think he played for one of the junior teams out there.
That's awesome.
One of the
Yeah, junior blues.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
All those the younger guys all went to my high school down there. So
Oh, sweet.
still know some of the guys that did that.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very cool, my friend.
Will you enjoy the Snoop Dogg concert?
Yeah, man.
Very
It's the
cool.
your favorite
DO double G.
What's your favorite Snoop Dogg song?
Gin and juice.
Yeah.
Rolling down the street, smoking. No, just laid back with my mind on my money and my money on my money. Now that I got me,
No, we're done. That's enough.
I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah,
By far the greatest CD of all time, by the way.
absolutely.
It is hands down. Like, I think everybody owned that CD.
I did not.
I think I own that tape.
Cassette. Yeah, cassette tape. Hands down, dude. Absolutely. No.
Yes.
I had the compact disc of that.
Just that tape.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Love it.
Jeremy, dude, you're a stud. We look forward to seeing you at the shows. And everyone, thank you for listening.
And our sponsors, thank you for
yeah.
supporting us.
Yeah.
Not possible without you guys.
Please subscribe to the show and share it. We are on all the social medias, and you can listen to us always on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can watch our interaction and your cool backdrop, by the way.
Yeah, very cool.
On YouTube on Cool Times Podcast. So until next time, everybody, thank you very much. Peace.
Thank you.